All right, welcome back. We are on Daybreak. It is, of course, a PvZ, and we'll get right into these player introductions. Spotting in the bottom left-hand corner, he is your pink Zerg player.
Para OP Kibbelz.
And his opponent in the top right, of course, a fellow ASL caster. Ripping that purple color and keeping with the alliteration, your Protoss player.
Deadly Gaming EnderSword.
Alright, these boys are talking about Scotch already, and we're going to get right into the game. Of course, PvZ is a great series because I'm a Terran, and so I know absolutely all there is to know about this series due to the sheer amount of games that I play of PvZ. Pretty standard openings, nothing funky, no proxy 2 gatage out of our Protoss player, and we do have a pool going down after hatchery, which is pretty, it's a little ballsy to go for hatch first against Protoss sometimes, but of course, standard in other times. And this is one of those times where it's okay to do it because no shit is going down from EnderSword. The Overlord is going to go ahead and get his scout in here, and he's going to know everything there is to know about anything at this point in the game. I think a pretty standard opening, it's probably pretty important to make drones and probes at this point in the game. Make sure you don't get supply blocked. We do have a nice little pylon up here on the top of the map. We'll see what type of shenanigans this is going to be. If he's just going to use it to warp in units for warp gate, it's going to be a little strange because of the distance it is. So that tells me that it's probably going to be hidden tech or something along those lines. So we'll see as soon as Twilight Council gets going. EnderSword's going to go ahead and get his probe to go ahead and scout around and make sure the third isn't taken already, which that'd be really, really quick third. Of course, doesn't have enough to take that. But just making sure, nothing over there, nothing crazy. He's going to go ahead and get his Zealot out to be able to wall off his main. And then he's going to go ahead and take 2 gases here. So we'll see if he's going to try and push the issue. And he does lay down a tech building. And it is going to be a Twilight Council there in the top of the map. So there's your shenaniganage already. And of course, Kibbelz, unless he smells out, gas and pylons and things like that, which probably he's not going to unless he gets his Overlords in tricky positions. He's not going to know this is here. There's not really a tell. And there's the play. This is a DT. This is a Dark Shrine. So we are going to see a standard, little bit of a DT rush out of EnderSword. That's the case. He's probably going to throw down some more gates here shortly. Of course, Warp Gate is it's on its way, being researched in that cyber. These Lings are going to try and get in here. They do see the Nexus go down at the natural, and they're going to try and clean up this probe. But of course, that Zealot on hold position is saying, no, sir, I'm too fat for you. We do have a Spore Crawler go down, so maybe Kibbelz has done his research on EnderSword, because I've heard EnderSword talk about this DT rush before. I don't want to make it like it's a thing that he does all the time, because I don't want to ruin his chances for the tournament. But that is a really well-placed Spore Crawler. Something tells me he smells it out. I don't think he scouted it. He does scout the main, of course, and he's got some scoutage going on, but something tells me he doesn't, I don't think he saw that completely, did he? Yeah, no, he has no idea that that's there, so this is all just on premonition, I suppose. These Lings are going to be able to take this Nexus down pretty far. I don't know if Ender's going to let this finish. It might be just a bait. He's, of course, going to cancel it. He didn't cancel it! Oh, no! That's 400 minerals down the drain. He didn't cancel that. I didn't see the cancel. We do have another pylon being made here, and of course, if EnderSword can get his gates, we do have 2 Dark Templar that are warped in now. 2 Dark Templar can do a lot of craziness, but something tells me that Kibbelz is going to be ready for this. He has a Roach one on the way, and of course, a Spore Crawler at the front. And these are 3 DTs coming in to make some. They're going to go right for that Spore Crawler, trying to get rid of the detection. That's how quickly it goes down. And now you've got 3 Dark Templar on your mineral line, and they can do a lot of damage. But there's a Spore Caller there. The drones surround it, and they're going to hold position, and that's going to make those Dark Templar have a real tough time getting to that Spore Caller. Now they're just going to target the hatchery. In my opinion, it's not going to work out, and I think EnderSword agrees. He's going to go ahead and pull these back. He's got 4 Dark Templar now on the field. His tech been sniffed out. Kibbelz knows it's there. He was able to deny the natural. This is looking pretty rough for EnderSword. He's going to go ahead and target down this third, and he'll be able to get that. We'll see what sort of damage he's able to get done in the main, but of course there's a Spore Caller there, and these lings are going to go ahead and get the surround. Detection is going to still be there. There's a lot of lings on the map. Kibbelz is smelling it out. He might even be able to save... No, he's not going to save the third. The third surely will go down. These lings are going to try and make the effort, but there's no detection, and of course, detection is what you need to see invisible stuff. EnderSword is going to see the roaches pop, but if you check back home for EnderSword, what does he really have to defend much of anything? EnderSword has got some gates. He's got some zealots at home. He's blocking his own probe from doing anything. Now he's going to push with some zealots and DTs, but with roaches already on the field, it's looking bad to worse for our protest player. As the lings get the surround, the roaches are able to put out their famous DPS, and now it's down to 2 zealots, 1 zealot, 1 DT gone. And now EnderSword is looking like maybe he should have not let those lings cancel that Nexus. Of course, the problem would have been if he had DTs ready by that point. Oh, he's already going to cancel the Nexus again. Great move from Kibbelz. If he had used those DTs for defensive reasons, he would have given up his tech in an offensive push. So EnderSword, of course, electing here to go offensive with those DTs and not let his tech get found out before it would have been able to do damage. But it didn't do any damage anyway. He put some life away on that second hatchery. But now Kibbelz perfectly content to just chill for a little bit. And the response from EnderSword, he's going to keep it going with the dirty tosser moves. He's going right into Blink. Those lings do sniff out that Twilight Council, and of course there's only 1 pylon there, so if he gets these roaches up there and just snipes the pylon, then that's all she wrote for Blink, and pretty much the game for EnderSword. Both players are a bit supply blocked due to having taken each other's... one was an Overlord, of course, and a supply pylon that was one of the forward pylons. One of the problems, of course, with Protoss, if you make it a forward pylon, you have to always be ready for its eventual destruction, of course, if you get sniffed out, because you were going to be supply blocked if you did not make up for that, if you did not plan for that. So EnderSword is going to go ahead and chrono this Twilight Council. He knows that it's been seen, right? Like I'm not like, yeah, he has seen it. So he should go and take out that pylon and stop the upgrade from researching. And he's just actually not going to go for the pylon. He's going to go right for the Twilight Council. Now he's going for the pylon, and now there we go. Now that's a good call. He's going to eliminate the pylon. He's already on 2 bases fully saturated. He's getting up his third. He's going to go ahead and take out these 2 tech buildings. And EnderSword has not even established his natural yet. So down it goes for EnderSword. No more Twilight Council. You're going to have to remake that at home. And of course, right now, all we see in the production tab for EnderSword is a Robo. +1 weapons is about to finish up. And of course, his Nexus at the natural is still 20 seconds away from finishing. So, you know what? This has not gone too well for our fellow ASL caster. It's going to be a pretty rough hold here. I don't think he has what he needs to hold it off. Of course, Zealots do trade fairly well against Lings, but they don't trade fairly well against a lot of Roaches. He does have pretty decent stalker numbers, and a Mothership Core, of course, with the Photon Overcharge. He might be able to take an engagement, but only 1 sentry. The force fields are going to have to be real. And you know what? He's going to probably bait them out. Kibbelz, a lot of roaches here, a lot of lings. Now he's pushing down on this force. I think he thinks he smells blood in the water. Down goes the Photon Overcharge. Overseer over top, making sure there's no DTs. The force field's actually pretty good at zoning out most of these roaches. They're not able to get in on top of the stalkers. Stalkers are able to get some shots away before most of the roaches in the back are. Warped in more stalkers. Now EnderSword's, of course, fighting for his life. The Mothership Core able to give away free DPS because there's nothing that can shoot up, and Kibbelz is going to have to pull back, and now EnderSword maybe is able to establish some semblance of a regular economy and get into the game here. But if we look at those upgrades, they are heavily in favor of our Zerg player because we've got speed going on, and we've got all that good stuff that, you know, roaches like doing. And of course the Hydralisk Den is up, and they've got their upgrades on the way as well. The natural for EnderSword finally going down, of course, saturating it as we go. Kibbelz has had 2 bases saturated for some time, and he actually is not even saturated his third yet. He seems to be just using it for the larva production, and this is a lot of roaches getting on top of these stalkers. No more Photon Overcharge. The Mothership Core sniped That's GG called from EnderSword, and Kibbelz taking game. That Pirates of the Caribbean, I can't get enough of it. But we do have a game of StarCraft here for us today. I could talk about Hans Zimmer for days. Gonna go ahead and get right into this, though. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, he is your Purple Protoss player, currently down by one game. Trying to get back into it, our fellow ASL caster.
Deadly Gaming, EnderSword.
And his opponent in the top left, accurately predicting a semi-DT rush from that first game. He is currently cheesing your pink Zerg player,
Para OP Kibbelz.
And he's got a proxy hatch going down at the natural of EnderSword, and EnderSword is pulling a bunch of probes to deal with this. Of course, that is going to be canceled, and that is going to be some lost mining time for EnderSword by way of that many probes, which appears to be about 17, if I'm not mistaken. No, that's 16. So all but one. So he's not mining currently at all, and cancel, of course. He's only lost 75 minerals, and I guarantee you EnderSword has lost more mineral mining time by pulling, and he's just going to remake the hatchery. So what are you going to do, Ender? Are you going to pull all your drones again? Or your probes, rather? We do, of course, have a Forge Fast Expand, so there was going to be a cannon rush, but EnderSword not able to pull it off due to the lost mining time of the proxy hatch. So Kibbelz is looking pretty okay right now. Of course, he didn't have to stop mining. He can just continue doing as he pleases. And we do have a cannon finally going down for EnderSword, and that should put a kink in the chain of any sort of shenanigans coming out of Kibbelz, at least for the time being. There is another hidden hatchery, though. If you look in the top right of the map, we have a sort of hidden, I don't know what you'd call this now. It's a third, but it's not going to be a third for much longer. And Kibbelz apparently not afraid of going the way of the samurai and keeping his enemy in the dark about his plans. And we do have 2 gases taken at home, so who knows what more he's got going for himself and for us hidden up his sleeve. Meanwhile, EnderSword, of course, got a Zealot out, and he's going to go ahead and start working on this hatchery and take it down, while Kibbelz' drone is not going to escape that cannon, so unfortunately for you, you sacrificed your life for the good of the swarm. And that drone is just going to cancel itself and probably try and make it out, but of course 9 health against the Zealot's never the best approach or strategy. Cybernetic score is just now finishing up for EnderSword, and I think I want to remark on one important part. God, he's going to be so annoying with this drone. He's going to make it into an extractor. He's going to do all the tricks to just keep EnderSword's Zealot occupied. One thing I want to talk about is that EnderSword started going for I believe it was a Nexus first, after, of course, Pylon. And because he just kept making probes. He didn't originally Forge Fast Expand. So he was going for Nexus first. And upon finding a hatchery in his base, he then had to change up his plans and go into the Forge Expand. So if I'm wrong, the only other way I would be wrong is if EnderSword had already planned the Cannon Rush, and then Kibbelz' response was to go ahead and Proxy Hatch. Of course, EnderSword's forward pylon's going to get taken down by the Queen there, and now he is once again supply blocked, and he's actually in an okay position, I think, actually, because Kibbelz has got his second hatchery so far away that any reinforcements now from that base by way of army are going to be caught out if there is a push. And so EnderSword needs to get this information in his head. He needs to go smelling. He needs to go sending that probe around the map. And you know what? That looks to be the case. It looks to be exactly what he's doing. There are 2 overlords here for Kibbelz, so he is going to be able to see the probe leaving. But the probe needs to have some idea of what's going on here. And you know what? There's a very peculiar route that probe is taking, and he's going to go ahead and throw down a pylon, and you know what he's going to see? He's going to see a bunch of creep, and he's going to wonder what it's doing there. He knows now, of course, that there's a hatchery there, and this actually could work out miles in the favor of EnderSword, because if he can get some semblance of an army by way of a Mortal Sentry, of course, Stalkers are a great unit, whatever he chooses to do, and then cut that baseline in half, the reinforcing army is not going to be able to consolidate and get together, and he'll have an advantage that way. The pylon he let finish is going to get sniped by the queen, but he's got another one in the middle of those 2 bases, so that's where he will be reinforcing. So I think EnderSword has got his plan now formulated, and he's going to go ahead and see what he can pull off here. 2 Lings are going to spot that pylon. They're going to try and snipe out that probe. Speed is on its way to finishing, and the response, or I suppose the plan from Kibbelz, is to go ahead into mutas. So pretty funny stuff here. This is an interesting game. I'm really excited to see this because this is the only, not often you will see this if you see like MC play Solar. Maybe MC. MC is a little crazy. I should choose a more standard Protoss player. So Zest versus Leenock or something like that. Well, did Leenock play Zest? They'll probably play. Regardless, this is not a standard game by any means. We do have +1 weapons up for our Protoss player, and of course he's getting his robotics facility out in early. Not necessarily early, but he's getting it out now. 9-minute robo is not necessarily early, but I mean that and by how the game has gone, that is an early robo, because he could be going, of course, Stargate or multiple gates and that sort of thing. There is a bunch of static defense going down for Kibbelz series by way of 5 spine crawlers. And the push is going to be just ones with Zealots and the Mothership Core. And we're going to see if this is able to get anything done. Now we've got some Stalkers and some Sentries. He's going to bait out some Force Fields, and that's really nice. Oh, and they're on the other side, so he can get a Sentry really close to getting a Sentry. That would be a mistake. Those are really important energy units, of course, and you never want to lose those early. These 2 Lings are going to get in and get a Scout, and currently nothing here to defend. So, you know what? Might as well just go ahead and see how much of these shields I can take out on one of these gates. EnderSword is chrono boosting out his gates, but of course he's got a little bit of a supply block right now. He's pressuring this 3rd. Let's see if these Stalkers and Zealots can put the hurt on the Spine Crawlers. They're going to take out 1, the Queen, and the Mutas have popped now. So there's 2 Stalkers versus 4 Mutas. And I'll tell you what, actually a lot more Mutas now, and that's not a very good life for Stalkers at all. And you know what? Kibbelz made those Mutas right at the perfect time. This is going to get absolutely shut down. Those Mutas popped out right when EnderSword didn't need them to pop out. There are 4 Stalkers going to war with 3 Mutas right now, and you know what? They will be able to clean those up. But once the remaining and reinforcing Mutas come into play, those Stalkers are going to want to do what they're doing now. That's kind of running away. Actually, you know what, EnderSword, you might be losing those already, so he's going to get the reinforcing Stalkers here. You need a little bit something else. You're still going to lose these Stalkers. It's really unfortunate, but you know what? He's in my life for ire right now. He's going to go ahead and sacrifice these Stalkers. 34 supplies. Kibbelz has taken a double supply lead over EnderSword, and he actually took out a gate with those 2 Lings. EnderSword not actually paying attention back at home during his push, probably freaking out that Mutas are out, maybe a little embarrassed and nervous to be on stream, making small mistakes, and you know what? Kibbelz is going for blood. He's punishing EnderSword, and it is just a bloodbath. It's a Canadian bloodbath because Kibbelz, of course, is American, and there's the GG for democracy.